you, Pascal. So nice to meet you. Welcome today. I'm very happy to be here and host you at NEOMA Business School online information session and masterclass with our partner and affiliate professor, Laurent Levisalles. My name is Catherine Boubet, and I will conduct this session today, and I hope you will enjoy it. So we'll start with a short info session, and then we'll switch to the masterclass. And in the end, the third part will be the Q&A session related to your questions either on admissions or financial criteria. So my name is Catherine Boubet, as I said. My role at NEOMA Business School is to recruit participants and also to work on the promotion of the program. I used to work with my colleague, Virginie Chen-Benoit, who will join us a little bit later. And she's not here today for the moment, but she'll come back. So welcome to you, Laurent Levisalles, who you are affiliate professor and co-founder of the Resilient Institute. I will let you introduce yourself briefly, and then I'll start the info session related to the program presentation.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm very glad to be with you this beginning of the afternoon Paris time. So my name is Laurent Levisalles. I have actually been in the corporate for over 20 years in the retail industry, and I had the chance to work across the globe. And about 10 years ago, I decided actually to change my career path, and I joined the Resilience Institute and started actually the European branch. We'll be talking about that in a few minutes after Catherine's presentation.
Thank you, Laurent. So NEOMA Business School is about 150 years of excellence, which means that NEOMA exists for a long time and merged from two major actors as business schools in France, based in Rouen and based in Reims. They unified their forces, and now we have an overall alumni group that's really powerful globally and locally. As you can imagine, you can see some few numbers, and for one of them is a major one, I think. We have alumni based in 6,800 companies, meaning that it's really wide, and companies are very varied. And in terms of network, for the participants who are joining us, it's really active. It's really international as well, due to some programs from the Bachelor TWA, including this Global Executive MBA program, which is ranked in the Financial Times 86 worldwide and 14th in CSR, which is really important for us and for our team. We're super proud of that. We are accredited as well from the major accreditations, AMBA, CSB, and EQUIS, meaning that they recognize our academic excellence and our alumni as well, quality and success in terms of business presence in the world. So why would you like to reshape your profile in order to join an executive MBA? So you want to reshape your profile. Usually people who are coming to us, they have concerns about where they stand with their career. They need a career boost. They need a change, either to create their own company or simply to be recognized as a high potential in their own company and grow. And they need keys and methodologies to become either more agile, gain some confidence, and get a stronger leadership, as well as feel more connected to what they do and where they want to go with their careers. So what matters to me, according to the experience I have, and where I want to go for my future career. So it's usually the type of discussion that we have, and I'll tell you a little bit more in the end of this session how you can take an appointment to talk about your personal case. So the Global Executive MBA content is 1 year and few months, because it's 15 months in total. We have three, over this one track, we have 3 different ambitions. So usually at the start of each ambition 1, change your mindset, starts in in October. And the other one, create value, starts in actually there is a mistake. Create value starts in February, and Be Bold and Innovate in June. It's the reverse. We cover the subjects on change your mindset that are more related to qualitative knowledge and anything that's related to people. So how do I act as a manager matters as much as how, as a company, we have to face challenges related to HR and people's leadership, and how to coordinate all this, both with tools that relates to AI or tools that relates to just communication. We have as well some other courses that brings our participants to get this knowledge about finance, the global world, how the global works either in finance, in strategy. And we have great professors either from NEOMA or from outside who are coming to teach our participants this methodology that brings them this 360-degree view of what's going on in a business, and get to the power to know and use their knowledge in order to set up some great strategies. Nowadays, in this context, we cannot run a program without touching this innovation and agility way to learn and teach. So we've included in our Be Bold and Innovate ambition the great courses of positive leadership, corporate social responsibilities, emerging business in emerging economies, design thinking. And this way our participants have a overall total of 12 months of knowledge, and the last months are dedicated to the capstone project, which can either be a consulting project or a business plan project for those who would like to become an entrepreneur. So the program overview is 40 years of existence. We have a strong angle on corporate social responsibility. It's fully taught in English. We have 3 intakes, as I said, either June, October, February. It lasts for 15 months. And we have as well an angle to target the strong personal development aside of our courses, with the help of Laurent, who conducts our seminars on resilient leadership, either on campus or outside the campus in 3 different places: Rouen, Reims, and Morzine. So we have a startup incubator as well, for those who are interested to set up their company, and we can come back to this during the Q&A session if you would like to. So, as I said, Rouen, Reims, and Morzine are the regional anchorage, because we believe that living in a global context and get to learn more how to navigate in this very uncertain world, it brings you knowledge through the methodology, through the international learning experience, either in Ghana, where emerging markets have built up their own company, and how to scale up in their businesses, how to include them, how to include ladies as women in business in Africa. As well as by your position, a place where AI is super used and attractive to the traditional banks, who have to renew their business model if they want to stay and remain competitive against the fintech, the new fintech banks who are coming on the market. So that's what I can say about this program. So it's a question of skills and mindset. It's a balance between both. If you want to succeed with your MBA, you have to know and you have to have the right mindset. And that's why we have this great help of Laurent, and you'll understand why in a second. It's a question of networking. As I said, we have a strong alumni network, and gain self-awareness, self-confidence. This is again something that will be covered by Laurent, I guess. And if you want to grow up in your career, it's definitely a career ladder, because you've changed it all. You worked on every aspect: your knowledge, your confidence, and your mindset. Laurent, it's your. I give you the floor. Laurent, you're on mute.
Excuse me, I was on the wrong
On
panel.
the
Thank you. Yes, all right. Thank you, Kathleen, for this introduction on the fantastic journey of the executive MBA. In fact, I've been working with executive MBA for quite some time, and I have to say it's a great pleasure at this moment to run this comprehensive program with NEOMA, where we start actually with a deep dive into personal and then interpersonal, and then we broaden to a societal aspect of resilience. So I'd like to welcome you all to this webinar. It's great pleasure that I'm going to lead actually this short session, and with humility too as well, because I do not pretend to have a magic recipe. Maybe just to tell you a few words about the institute I'm working with at the moment. The Resilience Institute has been actually supporting for over 20 years, professionals with an integral, research-based, and above all, pragmatic approach. And today I'd like actually to share with you some simple practices that are easy to implement and that can make a difference. To start with, let me first ask you a question. In the blurry time we navigate at this moment, at which altitude do you navigate? Which feeling is currently fueling your emotional engine? I'll let you reflect just for 2-3 seconds and write it down for you. At which altitude do you navigate at the moment? As was mentioned by Kathleen, awareness is a key enabler to lift up your resilience and move forward into the unknown. Yes, because in the events that we've been experiencing in recent times, contrary forces are at play. There are some disruptive ones, centrifugal forces, we call them. They shatter actually the center. They are projecting, the parts to the periphery. So the disorder is immense. It's creating uncertainty, and it can seem, frightening and sometimes even threatening. In contrast, there are centripetal forces that are coming into action as well. And they hold things in place. They bring calm, control, connection. So they bring us closer to our center. And the center for a person, it's herself, it's her values, it's our family. The center for an organization, it's its purpose, its mission, or its ambitions. So while we must remain humble in the face of this crisis, I believe that we have a choice. We have a choice on how we respond to it. A conscious choice, accepting the things we have no control over and focusing on the things we can change. And one of them is certainly the way we take care of ourselves, to ensure that we are well equipped to deal with the circumstances and to take best care of others. So let's focus on the major centripetal forces we can activate for ourselves in our professional and private circles. Before we embark further on this webinar, I'd like to invite you to extract yourself from this horizontal axis of the time, the one we're constantly, running after to escape the rat race and to make a pause. I invite you to sit in your chair, both feet actually flat on the floor, making sure that you feel the contact of your toes and your heels in your shoes. Exhale, relax your shoulders. Inhale, lightly press your feet on the ground and your buttocks on the seat of your chair, anchoring yourself firmly. Anchoring yourself firmly in your family and professional responsibilities. Exhale, softly. Again, inhale, keeping the pressure of your supports, and sit tall, stretching your spine. Bring your back upright. Detach your back of the back of your chair. Bring your head in line, actually, with your backbones. Your gaze straight ahead, or close your eyes if it's easier for you. Exhale gently again. Once more, inhale, and bring your attention to the top of your head, like if it was hanging with a thread. And take a moment to reflect. What brings you here this afternoon? What are your expectations from this masterclass? What are your intentions? How will you engage and participate? Take a few moments to clarify expectations and intentions. And then I invite you to land back with me in that virtual room. I have 3 key messages for you today. The first one is that taking care of yourself is a priority. To be present to yourself, for your teams, for your friends, for your family. Second is that as a leader, your behaviors determine your leadership. If you're not exemplary, at least promote by example. By taking care of yourself, by practicing, not only do you do good to yourself, but better still, you give those you lead, those around you, permission to do so. And that is crucial. And third, it's developing a supporting routine is essential. It's all about finding, practices that fit you, that will help you to make things become a habit. And these actually routines, once they become habits, it's your safety net. It's the secret of your longevity. So let's look at how resilience can help us to do this. Resilience, it's a buzzword lately, and for which there are many definitions. Let me simply and quickly share actually our definition of this learn ability. Learn ability, to bounce. So it's a capacity that's supported by robustness and recovery skills to transform adversity into opportunity. Resilience, it's grow. It's a capacity that's fueled by enthusiasm for the change, to develop a growth mindset, to move forward, well anchored in the reality with positive outlook. Resilience, it's about connect. It's a capacity that's nurtured by respect for others and nature to have a positive impact. And finally, resilience, it's flow. It's a capacity that's supported by the search of our talents beyond competences, and the search of opportunities, so to reach out to our full potential. Well, let's come back to our axis of time, because there are 2 axes, into our life. The first one, the horizontal one, relates to time, because life is a journey. And this metaphor well illustrates a man on his journey. We all know where life begins and where it ends. But the most important thing is neither the beginning nor the end, but the journey itself. And to make a good journey, well, we need a carcass, that's the envelope that carries us. We need an engine. Well, that's the horse that pulls us. We need a driver. That's this coachman that directs us. And of course, there's a passenger, what we carry, the reason why we make this trip. So the goal of resilience is to energize the body. It's to engage these emotions. The engine of our life, because the Latin root of the word emotion is movere, which means movement, motion, to move. And it's the very nature, of our emotions to steer us up. Well, the goal of resilience also is to train the mind, the guarantor of our direction. And it is to put spirit into action, the essence of our behaviors. Resilience goal is not only to activate this resource, but it's also to bring and keep them aligned. That's a vertical axis to create fulfilling experiences. All in all, it's to make a good, a beautiful, a true journey. So that leads me to the second axis in our lives. As I just said, the vertical one, and it's best represented by this spiral. We're a mix of physical, emotional, cognitive, and spiritual attributes. And it is up to each one of us to engage, develop, and master these different dimensions. Well developed, we increase our resilience, our capacity to bounce back, to navigate the ups and downs of life with confidence, to connect well and unleash our human potential. But neglected or compromise or performance declines, our health and relationship suffer, and our resilience fails. We call that the downward spiral. And it all starts by busyness, the overabundance of anxiety provoking and not always highly qualified information, especially in the current context. The constant zapping, on social networks, the over solicitation of the consumerist world, all that make us confused, unable to focus on our priorities and to maintain our attention. So quickly, busyness overwhelms the mind and we disconnect from the present moments to find ourselves lost in the meanders of our thoughts. We call it cognitive disengagement. The pressure leads us usually to use withdrawal strategies. We detach ourselves from our environment. We lack energy. We start to avoid others and isolate ourselves. These contexts depletes our emotions and goes so far as reducing engagement, because over-invested, in fact, in our duties, and responsibilities, we tend to neglect ourselves and we become vulnerable. So when only, supported by our physical dimension, it becomes suffering. That little cold, for example, that hasn't left you for the past 2 weeks, or those frequent headaches in the evening, we're in distress. It's a preferred word for stress when we are constraining too far, our physiology. So without actually quick reaction, we further dive into illness, burnout, or depression. Recognizing the existence of the downward spiral is a necessary first step to bounce. Talking about disengagements, in a Harvard Medical School study among 14,000, professionals, disengagement has been analyzed. And I'd like to ask you to guess, using the chat box, their finding. I invite you to write down in the chat box your answer. How much time in percentage during the day professionals on average are disengage? I'll let you quickly answer and have a look. At your feedbacks. So what's coming in? What's your percentage? Every 50 minutes, 70% uncertain. Any other ideas? All right. It's about, 47% of our days. Yes, 47% of our days are spent actually disengaged. And if you're not too sure about it, I invite you to reflect on how many times have you checked actually your smartphone or your mailbox since we started just the session. All right, so let's see, how we can move up. Once we understand, recognize this downward spiral, we can easily engage into bounce back strategies and lift ourselves up while mobilizing the resource. And it all starts, with that stress mastery. Like, any human, you and I, we face the dilemma of finding the right balance between protection and connection. In our daily lives, the control of the very powerful physiological mechanism called the vagal system condition this balance. So mastering stress, or mastering what we call the vagus nerve, allows us to maintain our anchorage in a deep serenity, to respond consciously, to enjoy one's full capacity to engage, discern, decide, act, thus avoiding any panic that could be fatal. Mastering stress can be learned. It's a founding element of resilience. So objective here is really to manage the pressure, and we can learn from top experts who train really hard in difficult drills. And the first thing they learn is to create calm during the storm. So I invite you just to experiment that 1 second. Again, sitting on your chair, 2 feet flat on the floor, your back is upright, your hands are resting actually onto your knees, and start gently by exhaling. Inhale, counting to 4 through the nose. And while you get to the top, a short pause, exhale through the nose, bringing your belly back inside. Gently inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause, exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Gently inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So you see this very short breathing exercise is what we call tactical calm, the ability to recover serenity instantly whenever you are being faced with actually a threat or an issue. And it's important to learn how to do that. Important to remind ourselves that whenever something happens to us, in doubt, breathe out. Start by exhaling instead of maybe what you've learned from your childhood, inhaling. And it's important as well to constantly rejuvenate throughout the day, because pressure is building up. You need to relieve the strain. The more you relieve the strain over the day, the more energy you have, the more serenity you have, the more capacity you have to handle the situation. Now, have you made sure actually that your smartphone was fully charged this morning before starting your day? Did you ensure that the charger was in your bag to refuel during the day, avoiding your batteries being flat? Hey, what about yourself? How were your personal batteries this morning? How do you recharge during the day? Well, it seems that we pay more attention to our smartphone than we do to our health. So it's time maybe to shift from a curative medicine mindset to a preventative health perspective. Yeah, physical vitality is one of the foundation of resilience. And whatever happens, in a day, it's always easier to understand things when you are full of energy. So what's the most important source of energy for you? A, nutrition, B, sleep, or C, exercise? Well, use the chat box again. A, nutrition, B, sleep, C, exercise. So a lot of sleep and exercise, I can see. Well, undoubtedly, all three are important. And we all recognize that the impact of exercise on our physical health is important. It's crystal clear. Now, you may not be aware that exercise also impacts, your mental health in various ways and very positively. So take exercise as something serious. Stand up, regularly every 20 minutes. On top of that, we are far more intelligent, when we're standing than when we are sitting. So it's all good for the body and for the brain. As we all know, as well, healthy and balanced nutrition makes sense. Of course, nutrition has significant impact on our health or mood, but also on our cognitive abilities. So bring awareness, into your plate, especially during this COVID-19 period, where we tend to eat all we want sometimes with all sugar overcompensation to deal with anxiety or frustration. Practice moderation. One of the two nutrition, principles to make you live centenary. And as you pointed out, sleep is critical. In fact, it seems that sleep is the most critical source of energy. So it's important for you to secure the quantity, to master the timing, and to protect the quality. Prepare your night as well as you do for your meetings. Switch off electronic devices 1 hour before getting to sleep. With which emotion did you wake up this morning? Can you name it? Well, write it down. Well, it seems that in this area, we lack vocabulary. And when we don't have the word to say it, it does not exist. Yet, emotions are the engine of our lives. So by learning to name them, we can tame them. And we can use this great, resource to respond rather than react. Decision-making theory focuses on the rational and analytical processes. So it tends to minimize, the influence of this softer and messier world of emotion, relationships, and human behaviors. But mastering this diverse flow of inputs is essential to decision-making for yourself, for those around, for your team, and in fact, at all levels of the organization. So in this field, let's be clear, we tend all more or less to have a negative bias. This is due to the survival, instinct of the human species. We had to be particularly alert to risks and dangers in order to survive. The negative traits persisted. negative emotions leave a stronger trace. And if we do nothing, negative emotions, they tend to dominate. That's true for us. That's true for our family, in our teams. So in many researches undertaken in recent years, the ability to cultivate enthusiasm and positivity appears to be one key resilience factors. If we do not control what happens, we control how we respond. And I'd like you to take a few seconds to reflect and answer to these three questions. Since you woke up this morning, what are three things that went well and you can rejoice about? Write it down. Since you woke up this morning, what are three things that went well and you can rejoice about? And I invite you to go a little bit further. Why did it go well? Go even further. How can I get more every day? And I invite you to share, as we're not too many in the rooms. Let's see, who wants to share with us one thing that went well and tell us why? Who is that? Eva? Frankie? Victor? Reniel? Yes. Can you share with us?
Hello,
Yes.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Victor. I'm based in Lagos, Nigeria. For me, I would say that, what made my day exciting was the fact that, I got up with so much energy, in the sense that even though yesterday I was a bit down, but I got up with so much of energy to achieve. And as I left the house, because of course I had to come to work, I didn't work from home, today. I had some few things I needed to do before I got to the office, So as I got to the office, I was able to achieve, before I set time to my deliverables, so I was able to achieve like 40% of it within this short time. For me, I felt excited because the day has gone half, sort of, and I've been able to achieve that. Two, what led to that was because of the mindset I had.
Mm-hmm.
Because I woke up with so much of energy, so the mindset was ready to get the job done, to get success. So I was able to control my emotions in the course of that. I'll probably just give you a practical scenario. I had a couple of meetings this morning, and had a couple of interviews as well. So for certain roles, and it's not very easy to get the right candidates. So two of the candidates I recommended to the board went through, which for me was a thing of excitement because the company is trying to reorganize itself. So I needed to make a decision that could move the company forward. So they were recommended, those two candidates from my side, and it went through. So
Great.
Yeah. I would say, well, at times you set yourself for excellence for a day, but at times you don't get that. Doesn't mean that you cannot achieve excellence. So what I would advise or suggest to the team or to the house is that it's good to have a right set of mind frame as we face the day. So as we articulate what we're supposed to do, or we are engaged with our tasks, we should also ensure that we ensure that the right decisions are made such that it can help us make and achieve success. So that was what helped me. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Victor, for your sharing. And I think you're right with that, positive mindset you start with, definitely that helps, navigate through the ups and downs of the day. We had some other contribution actually that came out onto the chat box. And I can see my breakfast. Yes, taking care of yourself and having a solid breakfast in the morning is an important thing if you want to get through the entire day. I can see that someone took the time to play chess actually with the son, and that's a great thing as well. Is paying real attention and taking the time to share those so important moments. So we have plenty of opportunities there. Sometime, and I can see there, we cannot figure out, maybe because we're just, too busy with what we're doing, or too much actually looking inward. There are many things happening that are extremely positive around us. It's just time to grab it, if we, from time to time, switch off the automatic pilot. Plenty of things that actually you can grab from the world around you, which are extremely positive and can fuel you during the day. So let's keep on moving. We're now moving up to the mind, and that's the seat over so-called intelligence. And we are today constantly, solicited. Intelligence, we said. Well, can you remember, 5 useful thoughts you had yesterday? Well, write them down. Well, you see, it's not that easy. Yes, I think that thinking is sometimes overrated. So many of us have agitated thoughts, We're locked in default position. We're busy, 24/7. The mind is actually constantly overloaded. We put ourselves under chronic pressure. Our prefrontal cortex, cannot operate effectively under this chronic pressure. So we resort to the reptilian brain. The amygdala fires up. It's leaving us in a constant state of fear, anger, time pressure, impatient, anxious, impulsive, unable to sleep. So when we eventually stop, the rat race, we flooded with unwanted, thoughts and anxieties. So we keep on running. Research has shown that we have several thousand, thoughts per day. If scientists, they do not actually agree exactly on the numbers, they agree on one thing. There's only 1% that's useful. The rest, it's just fog. And in this area, it seems that dogs are doing better than we do. So there are several steps, that can lead us to have more clarity and make the best use, definitely, of the mind. One of them, for example, is just dealing with information overload. The risk of being overwhelmed by information is high, especially during this uncertain period with all sort of fake news flying around. We call that infobesity risk. And to assess maybe your addiction level, I invite you to reflect on how often you're checking the news, or emails. Is that constantly as soon as notification comes in? Or is it just twice a day during a well-framed time slot? So my advice is be selective. Beware of the information you consume and of the information you broadcast as well. That creates infobesity. Connection is also what brings us, into this resilience, in this capacity to lift up to our full potential. And it also brings us to this 5th level of the spiral, the one we term, spirit in action. Certainly the best place to answer this existential question, what am I doing here? Well, it's a broad subject, and we may not have the time in 5 minutes to deal with. But clearly, organization will address this with vision and mission statements. People will respond to it by their ikigai. We call it a raison d'être, with clarity on their values, on the contribution they wish to make in this world. Somewhere it's a spiritual path, religious for some and not for others. More than ever, we need to refer to purpose, mission, and values, remembering, what matters most and why we do what we do. It's a powerful way to keep us engaged in crisis time. So set and clarify your intention, as we did at the start of this journey, and use it as a compass to help you keep yourself on track. Resilience invites us, to reconnect with our deepest human skills, relying on personal discipline. Resilience is also an integral systemic approach, and everything existing at the individual level can be found also at the organizational level. For example, Stakhanovism, leaders who neglect themselves will unintentionally induce absenteeism or even presenteeism in their teams. Conversely, those who have a good knowledge of themselves and constantly fine-tune their empathy, they will create resonance and nurture a culture of positivity. So as a leader, you set the tone in your organization. Your attitude and behaviors in the next weeks, months, will define how your team will cope and how collectively you will be able to rise to the challenge. So here are, 10 practices, 10 simple practices that you can do for yourself or for your team. Remember, mastering stress. When you're in doubt, breathe out. Bring yourself back into serenity. And with your teams, encourage micro breaks to help people stay in the present moment. Help yourself have a good night's sleep. Prepare, avoid the screens 1 hour before bedtime. With your team, promote, stand-up calls or stand-up meetings, or maybe the last 10 minutes to keep the people engaged and as well to benefit, from more energy. In terms of emotion, practice the what went well exercise. Reflect on what was positive today, reflect on why it was positive and how you can get more. And with your team, celebrate the small victories, like the one from this morning with Victor. Train the mind, center yourself. Start by this, pause exercise, clarifying, your expectation for the day. And with your team, remind short-term priorities. In the moments where everything is a little bit blurry, it's important to keep actually things really clear. In terms of spirit, identify your intentions before engaging into any activity. And as for the team, show how the team decision will honor the team or the company purpose. So which one resonates for you more today? Which one would you be ready to select and commit to integrate in your daily routine? I invite you to write it down. It's proven that when you write it down, it reinforces your engagement and accountability. Now, I would like just to conclude the short mileage that we've shared together by sharing a vision of a resilient organization. This is what we're building, through the leadership program. First of all, with the intrapersonal, and then the interpersonal, and then the societal or organization. And that resilient, organization, it's built on two main axes. The first one, it's trust, and trust is a chemistry of intrapersonal, interpersonal, and leadership capabilities. It definitely starts by, resilient people, at the forefront of whom, well, we find the leaders, well equipped with strong resilience foundations. When brought together, these resilient people, they form resonant teams with high velocity of interaction. And they're led by conscious leaders who, by their presence, their humility and integrity, they inspire by their vision. Meaning on the other axis, emerge first from people, influencing and operating a breeding ground culture, driven by purpose, Purpose to create impact, a human impact for everyone to flourish. A business impact, through innovation and collaboration to sustain performance, and a societal impact, going beyond just, shareholders to embrace stakeholders, while generating, profitable return, contributing the community and ensuring environmental care. So I invite you all to cultivate and radiate your resilience to best contribute to your missions.